This is CTV's W5. Here is Sandy Ronaldo.
Welcome to W5. It is a favorite trick from the Con Artist Handbook, fee for loan. Private lenders promise to loan thousands of dollars so long as you pay an upfront fee, usually a few $100s. But once you've paid the fee, the deal goes south and you're out your money. Well, Sandy Craig Hutchens knows all about these kinds of loans and appears to have taken it to a whole new level. Hutchens is a private lender with a dubious past, a convicted fraudster and drug trafficker with a long list of aliases and an even longer list of dissatisfied borrowers who say he took their fees, thousands, even millions of dollars, but never delivered on his unorthodox loans. Victor Malarick now on the elusive lender and a trail of fake documents, phony addresses, and missing money.
There are lots of people in downtown Toronto who want to get their hands on your money.
Can I give you this?
But Brent Hillier's goal
You can't get by.
is to keep it safe in your wallet.
I'm just passing these out to warn people. This nasty man.
This is the flyer Hillier is handing out. The face belongs to Sandy Craig Hutchens, a private lender with a dark criminal past. Hillier's description is more colorful.
He's a CONMAN, scumbag, a liar and a thief.
Here, I need to warn you about this guy.
Hillier claims he lost everything when Hutchens promised him a big loan, took a hefty upfront fee, and then killed the deal. Hillier is warning people because he claims Hutchens has done the same thing to dozens of others. People like Tanya Kingyans.
Curly, did you want tea? Please. Okay, well, I'm coming over.
Tanya and her husband run this retirement residence in Summerside, Prince Edward Island.
If we ran out of tea, I'm pretty sure we'd have a revolt.
For years, they cared for seniors in their own home.
You're welcome.
So when this property came up for sale in 2005, they saw a chance to expand for $1 million price tag.
We couldn't receive financing under traditional methods because we were young and we didn't have a lot of cash in the bank to finance, so we went through looking for some private financing.
And she found it. Canadian Funding Corporation is run by Sandy Hutchens. But at the time, he was using the name Craig Hutchens. His website boasts, just because your bank has said no, doesn't mean we will. Sure enough, Hutchens said yes to the whole shebang. But first, he demanded a big check.
In total, how much did you give in upfront fees?
It was just over $32,000.
Where did you get this money?
We borrowed it from family members.
Tanya signed over the cash. Her family's dream was coming true. They called it Park Hill Place, and seniors signed up to move in. Then Hutchens started changing the rules and adding conditions. She met them, but when the money didn't show up on the due date, she got nervous and Googled Craig Hutchens' name.
What I saw just made me sick because it came back showing that he had committed fraud to other people, and I realized then that what we were dealing with was not an honest individual, and we'd been taken.
When Tanya refused to comply with any more conditions, Hutchens killed the deal and kept Tanya's money. Aside from her $30,000 front fee, she spent $70,000 more in costs and other fees.
We didn't have a penny left after we sent the money to him. We were due to open in 2 weeks, and we realized then that we weren't going to have the money to pay for the building.
Tanya had to find someone else to lend her the money to buy the building, and it did open on time. But she wanted her $100,000 back, so she went to the courthouse and sued. To her surprise, Hutchens countersued.
Countersuing you for what?
Loss of interest that he would have made had he advanced the money.
Are you kidding?
I'm not kidding. As well as some damages for inconvenience.
2 years later, the countersuit was dismissed, and Tanya won a judgment for $130,000. But it seems that didn't matter.
You get the money?
No, we have not been able to get any money from the order.
How come?
We hired a sheriff to go and do a collection, and they could not find any assets.
Now we're going to do circles.
Her money is gone, but there is a silver lining. Park Hill Place is still afloat, and 60 seniors now call it home, despite Sandy/Craig Hutchens.
He almost destroyed your dream.
He did, and my family. It would have been devastating.
A lot of tears shed.
A lot of tears, a lot of frustration.
So, who is Sandy Craig Hutchens? He's a 51-year-old convicted criminal who lives just north of Toronto. He was raised as a Baptist, but in 2005, he converted to Orthodox Judaism and assumed another name, Moshe Alexander. W5 has found he's used at least a dozen aliases. He also has a lengthy criminal history. In 2005, he was convicted for drug trafficking and admits he and his wife were addicted to prescription drugs and cocaine. He was then convicted of 4 counts of fraud, which included bilking a cancer survivor out of 40 grand. The Crown asked for 5 years in prison, but he was sentenced to 2 years house arrest. Thanks in part to this man.
Did you go and speak on his behalf in court?
I did.
Mendel Kaplan was Sandy Hutchens' rabbi.
What did you tell the judge?
I saw a person who behaved in a very decent, righteous, caring, and considerate manner.
Kaplan and the new convert became friendly. Hutchens donated thousands to the synagogue and even told the rabbi about his wayward past.
I said, I've been a very bad person. I did a lot of very bad things, but I'm turning my life around. And I want to be good. I want to be righteous. Please help me.
Kaplan believed him. But then he started hearing rumors that Hutchens was back to his old ways. Too many rumors to ignore.
Did you ever call Moshe Alexander into your office and say, hey, what's going on here?
I did. I said, Mr. Hutchens, people are saying X, Y, and Z. And he said, it's not true. And he always bring proof that it wasn't true. And he tells a wonderful story. He's very convincing. And I believed him.
You feel like you were taken in by this guy?
Definitely.
Kaplan told Moshe Alexander to leave the synagogue, and he gave back the cash that he'd donated.
What was spent was spent, but whatever wasn't spent, I said, I'm giving you back your money, and I will never take money from you again.
But lots of other people did want his money. Remember Brent Hillier, the guy warning people in Toronto? Hillier ran a successful paintball business in Zurich, Ontario. He wanted to open another location, so he got a partner, and they found Sandy Hutchens, who agreed to fund a $4 million loan. But first, he demanded a $33,000 front fee.
You're now dealing with this Sandy Hutchens, a.k.a. Moshe Alexander. What's he asking of you so that he can loan you the money that you're asking for?
Well, it constantly changes. It's the financials. Then it's a letter of why he should do this or why this business is good. And then it's something different in the financials. My partner kept saying, don't worry, I'm going to handle it. We're just going to keep giving him everything he wants till he can't say no.
And you kept doing it?
We kept doing it.
When the money doesn't show, what do?
Well, we panic.
Panic soon turned to dread. Hillier's lawyers discovered Hutchens' criminal record, prompting them to write their client a letter. We are confident to the point of certainty that this is a fraudulent scam. You should remove yourself. But for months, Hillier clung to his paintball dream while spending money on the new facility. The loan never materialized. And by then, he was so far in debt, he lost his business, his car, and almost his family.
I had to pull my daughter out of college because I couldn't afford to keep her in college. I mean, that's affected her for the rest of her life. You know, I'm trying to fix things, but it takes time.
Hutchens claims he returned the front fees, and the loan fell through because Hillier lied about the business's finances. Hillier says that's not true. He couldn't afford to sue, so he took to the internet. He looked for people who dealt with Hutchens on websites such as scam.com, and he found dozens.
I started posting stuff on the internet with my name and my number. And what happened from there was I'd get victims from all across Canada, United States calling me, telling me the story.
So you're on the internet You're posting stuff about him.
Correct.
Victims are coming in.
Right.
What does Moshe Alexander do?
He comes after me, actually.
Hutchens is suing Hillier and Scam.com for libel. He was granted an order to search Scam.com's office, but Hutchens somehow convinced police it could be used to search Hillier's home, even seize his computer and files.
And I didn't want him to have access, so I refused entrance to the house, and they held me in contempt of court. It was a possibility I was going to go to jail, but I stood my ground.
A judge agreed with Hillier and said the attempted search was a gross misuse of the order.
He uses the court system as a sword.
Brian Schiller is Hillier's lawyer. The case has dragged on for almost 2 years.
I think his strategy was to bury Mr. Hillier in legal costs and hope that his biggest nemesis would go away. He knew that Hillier was really good at finding victims all around North America, and he had to he needed to put it to an end.
Soon, Hillier felt like he was being watched. He was right. Hutchens had hired private investigators to follow him.
They follow my kids to school. They follow me around my house. They sit out in front of the parking lot. They drive by my house. They follow my wife to work.
Hillier even confronted one of his stalkers. He taped the conversation.
Who are you? Who am I? Yeah. No one. Yeah? Nobody? Why are you following me? Why are you taking pictures of me? I can't tell you that.
Still, despite the stress and personal cost, Hillier refuses to back down.
Pass it on. Thank you.
Sandy Craig Hutchens, also known as Moshe Alexander and a number of other aliases, is a lender whose website claims he's funded more than 100 loans, with photos of blurred but presumably satisfied customers. But W5 has found several people who are not smiling. Customers who say he took fees from them and never loaned them a penny.
Everything we've had has gone into foreclosure. It breaks your heart, doesn't it?
Paul and Lindsay Oxley built this resort just outside Orlando, Florida. The property is breathtaking, but as the parking lot suggests, this place is mostly empty because the man who promised to fund the mortgages pulled out.
If Moshe Alexander had not failed us, we'd been okay.
Florida has the reputation of being the Sunshine State, where everything is bright and cheery. But in the summer of 2008, the economy was in a dumpster and real estate was a frigid wasteland. That's why Paul Oxley went searching for a private lender. And that's how he found convicted Canadian fraudster Moshe Alexander.
You've got an aerial shot that shows Disney.
Oxley left England with his wife and daughter for Florida in 1993 to chase the American dream. He started building homes and over the years became a great success. But when the market collapsed, he desperately needed cash. And Moshe Alexander claimed he had lots.
When you meet him, you see him as sort of a godsend?
I was full of hope that this was going to be the answer to our prayers.
And Moshe Alexander didn't disappoint, at least not at first. He committed to $320 million in loans. But first, he needed a huge upfront fee.
I ended up putting up almost $2 million of upfront fees.
What did Mr. Alexander do for this money?
Absolutely nothing.
Gary Fioretti is Paul Oxley's mortgage broker. He says Moshe Alexander was recommended by a prominent Florida law firm that both he and Oxley knew and trusted.
Did you check him out?
Absolutely. I tried to do due diligence on Mr. Alexander and in fact found nothing negative.
He found nothing because Alexander's criminal record is under the name Sandy Hutchens. So Oxley paid the front fee and then Moshe Alexander started asking for stacks of paper.
The amount of information they needed, I didn't think we were ever going to be able to satisfy, and then I started to really get worried.
Worried and suspicious. They'd never been asked for such an endless mountain of information, so they asked a question of their own.
We asked for proof of sufficient funds to fund this project, and we really were never able to see anything.
Instead of proof, they got a letter from a lawyer saying, I hereby verify that our client, with their joint venture partners have funds and access to funds well in excess of what is required. As for joint venture partners, the only one they knew about turned out to be nothing of the sort.
Mr. Alexander provided us a letter that he drafted indicating that he was a joint venture partner with Toronto-Dominion Bank. I immediately began to try to investigate the validity of that letter.
TD Bank confirmed that Moshe Alexander was not a joint venture partner and told Alexander to cease and desist making such claims. But Moshe Alexander also forwarded letters from his accountant confirming he had sufficient funds. Thing is, that wasn't true either.
He duped me and lied to me.
Martin Lapidus was Moshe Alexander's accountant.
Did you ever ask for proof that he had access to large amounts of funds?
Over the years, I've asked him at least 20, 30 times for the documentation. He said owing to privacy issues, he could not give me the details.
See, privacy issues, you're his accountant.
Of course, it didn't make any sense.
It didn't make sense, but he still agreed to write letters claiming his boss had truckloads of cash without seeing proof.
He promised me, as an Orthodox Jew, he would give me backup for my files, that these funds were available.
Despite the letters, Paul Oxley lost faith, so he and his broker, Gary Fioretti, tried to salvage what they could.
We demanded our money back.
What did he say?
Not going to return the money.
That was a little bit earth-shattering for me. $2 million is an awful lot to me. You know, it was my money this time, not just company money. It really was my money.
What does that say to you?
Really, don't do business in Canada, to be quite honest. If something goes wrong, you're on your own.
And something almost always goes wrong when you deal with Hutchens loan companies, according to his ex-accountant. In an affidavit filed in court, Martin Lapidus claims that over 4 years, Hutchens loaned out less than $500,000, but collected more than $9 million in front fees from hundreds of people.
People that were coming to him were people who were desperate anyhow. These were people who couldn't qualify for bank financing, so this was their last hope. I guess they were praying that somehow there would be a miracle and he would fund the deals.
And he's the miracle maker?
Yes. The only miracle he did was fatten his own bank account.
Keeping upfront fees is one thing, but in Lapidus' affidavit, he says he believes Hutchens had no intention or ability to fund many loans.